talk about the second wave of the coronavirus. Cases are rising and restrictions are growing. And with that, so is the criticism. While support for the German government and its action to confront the pandemic remain high among the public in that part of Europe, there is a growing call for a more democratic approach to handling the crisis. For more, we're joined by William Glowcroft, a correspondent with Deutsche Welle partners in Berlin. William, it's good to have you. Last week we had this conversation about this second wave and how you put it, as you put it, it has come with a vengeance. What's the latest where you are?
Yeah, it has come with a vengeance, and it continues coming. As we've been reporting for weeks, the cases just keep on rising. Here in Germany, in just the last 24-hour period, we're looking at 7,600, almost 7,600 new cases. That's nearly 730 more cases than the day before. So things are just getting worse and worse. Fortunately, the death rate is staying stable even as cases increase, but it is nonetheless a strain on the medical system here. And you see this all around Germany, more in the southern and western parts of Germany than the former east of Germany. There's a lot of speculation as to why that is, but it really is hitting people of all backgrounds, all classes, all immigrant backgrounds, no matter what. I mean, you have here in Berlin very heavy hit areas, lower income working class areas, but also down in Bavaria, you have the hardest hit place right now, Berchtesgaden. This is a idyllic alpine region. It's actually Adolf Hitler's summer retreat back in World War II, where he and his high officials would go. They are currently in lockdown, the first place in Germany to be back in lockdown, and as much as, if not more than, a third of the entire country, according to the Robert Koch Institute, that's our public health institute here, shows that we are in the red zone. That means these regions are over that 50 per 100,000 caseload number, the magic number that politicians look to and public health officials look to when they need to take further steps against the pandemic and restrict public life.
So you talk about this new lockdown that has been imposed. What has the response generally been so far to these new restrictions and the measures?
Right, so far we've seen only one lockdown in one local area, like I said, down in Bavaria, but there's been a lot of other restrictions, as we talked about last week, restrictions on bar and restaurant opening hours, or should I say closing hours. You have to be shut basically 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. There's expanded mask use, all the things that we've been talking about the last several weeks, and there's general acceptance for these kinds of rules. People understand the science, they understand the need to restrict some aspects of public life, and this is how we need to do it, unfortunately, until there is an effective and safe vaccine. However, there's also growing criticism about the absence of parliament at the federal level, the Bundestag, and parliament in the various states. Right now, decisions have basically been made between Angela Merkel and the various state leaders. Basically, that is the executive side of governing. The legislative side of government has been essentially absent, and you will know, of course, that it's the legislature that has the most direct representation of voters, of the people of any given country. So there's the question of, in a parliamentary democracy, which Germany is, what is the role of parliament? Now, of course, back in the springtime, when there was a real big crisis and the pandemic first hit Germany, as it did many other places, there had to be swift action taken, and parliament allowed the executive, allowed Angela Merkel very wide freedoms to be able to make the decisions that she thought were appropriate. But now, months later, there's this question of maybe it's time for the legislature to come back into the picture and have more oversight and more responsibility, and not just let the leaders of the various states and the leader of the country make the decisions on their own.